It has been a long time since the community around Euro Truck Simulator 2 started talking about coaches. For years now, players have imagined what it would feel like to drive a long-distance passenger bus across Europe instead of hauling cargo trailers from city to city. Coaches are coming to ETS2, and many players are hoping that they release first on PC before the console versions arrive. The reason for that is actually pretty simple. If the coach system launches earlier on PC, it gives the developers time to refine the experience, fix possible issues, and make sure everything works properly before it eventually reaches PlayStation and Xbox. Because if we are honest for a moment, a lot of players are hoping that when ETS2 finally arrives on consoles, coaches will already be part of the experience. And today I want to talk about something interesting that many players might not have thought about yet. The release plan for coaches could already be moving forward quietly. But before we go deeper into everything, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. It really helps the channel grow, and it keeps you updated with everything related to ETS2, ATS, and upcoming content. One of the biggest questions players are asking right now is about the price. Whenever a new module or major feature comes to ETS2, players naturally start wondering how much it will cost when it finally releases. If we look at the pricing history of ETS2 content on Steam, we can get a good idea of what to expect. Most map expansions usually cost somewhere between €12 or dollars and €18 or dollars depending on the DLC. But the coach module would introduce something completely new to the game. It would not just be a vehicle pack. It would likely introduce a new gameplay style focused on passenger transport. Because of that, the price could be slightly higher than some of the existing DLC. A realistic expectation would be somewhere between €18 or $18 up to around €38 or $38. That price range would actually make sense considering the scale of what the module could introduce. Players would likely be getting a new gameplay experience, new types of jobs, and a completely different way to explore the ETS2 map. Compared to the amount of development work required to create something like that, the pricing would be fairly reasonable. Now let's talk about something that many players are also curious about. What happens if ETS2 eventually arrives on PlayStation and Xbox? Console players have been asking about this possibility for a long time, and while nothing has been fully confirmed yet, the idea of ETS2 coming to consoles has been discussed many times within the community. If the game does arrive on consoles, the pricing structure could look slightly different compared to the PC version. Console games and DLC are usually a little more expensive than their PC versions. This mostly happens because of platform fees and how digital stores operate on consoles. So if the coach module costs somewhere between €18 or $18 and €38 or $38 on PC, the console version could be slightly higher. It would not be surprising to see the price increase by around 10 to 20% on console platforms. That kind of difference is actually very common when games release DLC across multiple systems. However, there is also something important to remember. Bundles could make things easier for players. SCS Software often releases bundle deals where several DLCs are combined into a discounted package. So players who want maps, trucks, and new gameplay modules could potentially save money by purchasing those bundles instead of buying everything individually. Now, the next big question is about the timeline. When could coaches actually arrive in ETS2? Many players believe that the feature could arrive sometime in 2026. This timeline makes sense when you consider how SCS Software usually develops new gameplay systems. They tend to take their time when introducing something completely new into the game. Features are usually developed carefully, tested internally, and refined until they feel natural inside the ETS2 world. And adding coaches is not just a small update. It would introduce a new type of vehicle, new job systems, and an entirely different gameplay experience compared to traditional cargo transport. Because of that, it makes sense that the development process would take time. But based on what many players expect, 2026 seems like a realistic window for the feature to arrive. If coaches eventually become part of Euro Truck Simulator 2, it could open the door to many interesting possibilities for the game. Passenger routes could connect major cities across the map. There could be long-distance travel between countries, night routes between major transport hubs, airport shuttle services, and even tourism routes through some of the most scenic areas of Europe. Imagine driving a coach through the Alps while passengers enjoy the mountain views through the large windows, or taking a long overnight route from northern Germany all the way down to southern Italy. Experiences like that would add a completely new layer to the ETS2 simulation. Instead of focusing only on cargo logistics, the game would also simulate passenger transportation across Europe, and that could make the world of ETS2 feel even more alive. So the idea of driving a bus through the same beautiful ETS2 map actually fits perfectly into the game world. Imagine picking up passengers in Paris and driving them all the way to Berlin, or starting a journey in Madrid and heading across the mountains toward Italy. Instead of cargo trailers, you would be carrying people, following scheduled routes, stopping at bus terminals, and maybe even managing passenger comfort and timing. It adds a completely different gameplay experience, and honestly, many players have been waiting for this for years. Now here is where things start getting interesting. Over the last few updates, small changes have appeared inside the game files and map design that suggest something bigger is being prepared. For example, some bus stations and terminals have appeared in cities that previously didn't have them. At first glance, they might look like normal decorative buildings, but when you look closer, their design feels very intentional. They look like places where passenger vehicles would logically stop. When you look at everything together, the idea of coaches coming to ETS2 actually feels like a natural next step for the game. The community has been asking for passenger transport for a very long time, and if the feature eventually arrives, it could change the way players experience the ETS2 world. Driving passengers across Europe would bring a completely new style of gameplay to the simulator. And if the feature also becomes available on consoles in the future, it could make the experience even bigger for players on PlayStation and Xbox. The future of Euro Truck Simulator 2 is looking very interesting, and the arrival of coaches might become one of the most exciting additions the game has ever received.